KLIF News and Information.
You are listening to Real Talk Texas on 570 KLIF News and Information. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert Steve Hakes.
Welcome to Real Talk Texas. I'm your host, Steve Hakes, heard every Sunday here at noon on KLIF News and Information, AM 570. Real Talk Texas is a forum where listeners can get real advice from real experts. And yes, I'm a licensed mortgage originator, license number 242522. You can always reach out to me directly here at realtalktexas.com. Just send me a note, and I'll be able to connect you with a real expert. Last week, we discussed the real estate market in North Texas and how it's shifted from a buyer's market to a seller's market. And we've received a lot of contact back from our listeners who were a little bit surprised that we're seeing multiple offers on properties in the stable inventory that's out there. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about not the non-distressed property, but the distressed inventory out there in the real estate market. On today's show, we're going to focus on this with a real leader from the North Texas market. And this person that has been so kind to join us here this week is Alicia Trevino of Century 21 in Uptown. She's worked in the real estate industry for 22 years. She's had collective experience in areas of residential leasing, residential sales, REO, HUD sales. Those are the foreclosed properties that are for sale, as well as short sales. And short sales are something that we're going to focus on today because a lot of people out there really don't know what a short sale is. First time I heard the term, I wasn't really clear on what that was and how that works. And I'm sure our listeners want to find out about that. And Alicia's here. She's an expert in that area. And so she's going to fill us in on what that is, whether you're a buyer or you're that person that needs to short sale your home. But let me first give you an idea about Alicia. Alicia's accomplishments include being named Superstar Agent by Texas Monthly. She was voted the best in client satisfaction by Fort Worth Business Press, best realtor by D Magazine for 3 years. And she's also among the top 100 realtors in the nation by Realtor Magazine. That's pretty impressive. She also successfully sells approximately 300 homes per year. And she was ranked number 17 in the nation for top selling teams for units sold. And if you got Forbes magazine last month in September, she was also mentioned in there as one of the top up-and-coming women professionals in Texas. She's also given her time to the industry as well, which I think is really important for people that are leaders to give back. And one of the things that she's done is she's been on the nominating committee for DFW Realtors Association. She's been board of directors for the Texas Association of Realtors. And in the DFW Board of Realtors, she was the official media spokesperson. She's also been on the National Council of Certified Women's Business Enterprise and Women's Council of Realtors, and also National Association of Hispanic Professionals. So I can easily say that here on Real Talk Texas, we've got another real expert this week for the real estate industry, and that's Alicia Trevino. So thank you for joining us, Alicia.
Thanks, Steve. It's good to be here.
We're going to talk a little bit about short sales. Well, a lot. We're going to dig deep into what it is. So let's start off with what exactly is a short sale?
A short sale is really not that short. That's one of the first things that people need to know. It's probably the longest sale you ever get into. But what it is someone who is a pre-foreclosure home that has not been foreclosed on yet, that is in distress. And so you're coming in and buying a home that the homeowner owes more money on than they can sell it for. So that's why it's called a short sale.
Okay, when you say distress, does it mean this house is like torn up and, in bad shape? Some
of these homes are absolutely gorgeous. These are well-maintained properties where a homeowner has gotten into some sort of trouble, whether that is, there was a sickness in the family or a divorce, or even if they added triplets to the family, that can really put some burden on a homeowner. And so it's just, you never know. Now, there are some homes that are in bad condition. These folks have gone through a rough time and started selling off their furniture to make that mortgage payment. And at the end of the day, they find that the bank is now working with them to sell this property. So basically, it's a good deal for a consumer out there to come in and do this. But it's not for sissies because it is a long time to close on this deal, and you want to be working with an expert.
Obviously, that's one of the things that you do in this market, and you've got a team of people that work with you as well. And we've had some really good conversations, Alicia and I, and we're going to hopefully cover all those topics today so that our listeners can hear some of her expert advice on that. But one of the things last week we talked about how great the real estate market is and how things are going. When you start looking at distressed inventory, I think what we're talking about there are a few things. One of the things we're talking about is pre-foreclosed properties, which we're focusing on today. And next week, Alicia's going to come back and talk to us about the foreclosed property, or REOs, and she's also certified with HUD to represent them to sell those homes as well. So we'll get into that topic next week, Alicia. So I'll have to hold my questions for that for next week. But on the short sale, for me, when I'm out there and I'm thinking, okay, how do we identify, how do people, obviously they know they're getting behind or they're almost behind, or, for example, I just had a client that we did a loan for that moved from Detroit, and she was relocated to Dallas-Fort Worth from Detroit, and she had the house for 3 years, and she was making payments up there, couldn't rent it out. She was renting here. And she was underwater, way underwater in Detroit. As most people have heard the national news, Detroit's a really tough market. And she's a good person, but she just had a situation that she couldn't get through as far as getting that home sold. And I want to say she was like $50,000 upside down, which was a lot of money for her.
And that's really common. That's very common in Dallas, too. So I think so many homeowners don't realize they're not making a move because they think they can't, but they can't. There are avenues to go ahead and sell your home, even if you know you're upside down. It is turning around, the market is, but the problem is that when we bought these homes, going back from 9/11, when 9/11 all happened, the market started going down, then prices started depreciating, and so, a lot of times we're upside down. And so here's your two choices. You can lease it, you can do a short sale, or you can stay forever, because you're so far upside down that you don't have any choice. You have to come up with the difference. So I think a lot of people don't realize they have choices.
Well, and that's the thing that really hits home for me is if you're in that situation and you're listening out there and you're really not sure what to do, you can reach out to us at realtalktexas.com, and I'll put you in touch with Alicia, and she can give you advice. And I'm sure that a lot of your days are spent giving people advice versus actually selling houses and things like that. I would think you and your team would be fielding a lot of questions from people that are in that situation.
I do. I have experts that just specialize in short sales, and it does take a very qualified expert to do this. This is not an easy deal. Realtors have to really understand the process really, really well, and every situation is different. There is not one short sale that is exactly like the next one, because we're dealing with individual banks, individual investors, individual insurance companies, so it's very important that people understand the process and work with a qualified person when they're thinking about selling, but definitely they need to reach out and ask the questions, because most of the time we can accomplish this if they call us early enough.
Okay. Well, after the break, we're going to continue with Alicia Trevino of Century 21 here in Uptown in Dallas. And we're going to find out a little bit about what homeowners should do when they're facing this situation, which is a very, very difficult situation. And we're going to get her expert advice for the people that are in that situation that would be selling their home on a short sale situation. So stay tuned.